We are busy, but not productive. Look around. Everyone's distracted. You may realize that most people are on their phones, scrolling and watching mindless content that doesn't help them at all. All this extra content and knowledge that is often not valuable causes people to experience information overload. It puts their brains in overdrive, and this leads them to being burnt out and lazy. The average American spends around 4.5 hours each and every day on their phones. That is over 10 or more years of your entire lifetime spent on your phone, and that is absolutely insane. You switch from task to task and can't focus. You multitask. You don't go all in on the task you're supposed to do, and this leads you to not completing a task or project as quickly or efficiently as you could have. We fill our days with meaningless work that doesn't really improve our lives. We feel like we're doing something, but at the same time we aren't getting anything done. We scroll, watch endless amount of YouTube videos and think that will change anything. To put it frankly, it won't. Knowledge is not power if that knowledge is not being used anywhere. If you have that knowledge but aren't putting it to use, it's completely useless. Knowledge plus action is power. Some days, when I come home, I can't focus. I'm blasting music on the speakers, watching a video, eating and sometimes even reading at the same time. That is chaotic. And instead of taking 10 minutes to finish my meal, it takes over half an hour. I am not focusing on the priority task, the task that is most important, and in this case it's eating, and this leads me to take longer on doing the task that is actually most important. Going all in doesn't just apply to doing one task fully, it applies to your whole life, to everything. It's a method to do everything. The tasks are a small part in a grand scheme of things, but it won't mean anything going all in on one task if you don't go all in on the full project. Going all in means that you put all your cards and all your time and resources into trying to make something work, and if it doesn't, then you're screwed. Sure, you may not have that much time, but you put all the time you can put in. I know that most people, and me including, have school and are bound, and you can't really change the time you have that, but the time you can put in, you put in. You go all in with the time you have. Well, this means that if you don't get it to work, then you're screwed. But I admit it, I also struggle with shiny object syndrome. I keep on changing what I want to do, what business model I want to go into, what training method I want to do, etc. It doesn't lead me anywhere. I get stuck in action paralysis. And I don't take action because I think that I can't, because what if the action I'm taking is the wrong action? I have the fear of failure and commitment. But we will get back to that later. When you switch between tasks, your energy and time leaks out. Different kind of tasks require different types of skill sets and types of focus. You have to close the old folder, open a new app, then a folder, read through, and remind yourself of where you left off last time. Each time you do this, switch between tasks or become distracted, 20 to 25 minutes or more of your time is spent trying to regain focus. So if you have 5 different tasks you need to do in one day, that is on an hour lost just like that. 10 tasks, 2 hours, and it keeps on going up. It's exponential. Do you see now why it's important to not constantly switch between tasks? It's not that optimal. But to reduce transition leaks, you can 1. Do the same kinds of tasks after each other and you basically batch them together, and 2. You plan out in advance when you're going to do the task. You schedule them to relatively the same day, and 3. You monotask. You focus on one task that is most important. Our brains aren't wired to handle many tasks at once, so basically multitasking, and it leads to information overload, burnout, feeling lazy, and many other things that stop us from reaching our true potential. People are doing 5 things at the same time, and they still wonder why they're so addicted to dopamine and have a lot of low attention span. Isn't the problem obvious? Multitasking. You haven't done the preparation your body needs before you will be able to focus. You have to learn to focus and not multitask. So, introducing monotasking or single tasking or whatever you want to call it, it's the practice of focusing on only one task at a time and deliberately, at least in the beginning, choosing to not multitask. And that is needed because our brains are used to doing the same thing over and over again. So when you multitask a lot, you often try to multitask again, but you got to train your brain to not do that. By monotasking, you learn to focus better and you improve your attention span. You reduce the amount of transition leaks you experience in the day, and this leads you to having more energy and time. And this is the cause of increased productivity. By using less energy, you also promote less burnout and it makes you more present. If you can't sit still, ignore notifications and focus on one task for 8 hours straight, never expect to build something great. Alex Hermosi. In the beginning, you will have to make yourself do it. You have to catch yourself multitasking and bring yourself to monotasking. But this is also a bit inefficient, so try to make monotasking a habit, but that's after a long time of training. If you successfully can do that, it will become your superpower in this day and age when everybody else is distracted and nobody can focus. A small portion of people can perform better while multitasking, but that is not the case for most of us. But you have to find it out for yourself. I can't tell you what works best for you. Remember, don't take anyone's words blindly, not even mine, and find out for yourself. Think for yourself, and if you want to learn more about this topic about thinking for yourself, check out my video, Be Your Own Philosopher. And this practice of focusing on monotasking and deliberately not doing multitasking is a kind of meditation. So every time you realize you're not focusing on monotasking, then you monotask again. That's how meditation works. The process of becoming a monotasker is a simple one, but it will take a lot of time to master and get used to. To begin, you should 1. Go about your day as usual, and 2. When you realize that you are multitasking or distracted, bring your attention to it and intentionally monotask. And 3. Try to go through your day without multitasking as much as possible. And 4. If you can't do that fully, then reduce the amount of things you're doing at a time and try to bring yourself as close as possible to only doing one thing at a time. When you eat, you eat. When you read, you read. When you train, you train. This lets you enjoy the moment more and appreciate the thing you are doing more. But our time is running too fast. We don't appreciate the single moments in our days enough. This teaches you to do that. I like to listen to music while training to get hyped up and ready to work out. That is good and all, but try to focus on training, not which music is playing and constantly changing it and fiddling around with it. Train your mind to mostly get thoughts about the thing you are doing, which basically is focus. It helps if you meditate regularly, because that strengthens your ability for thought control. When Elon Musk started his company, he lived in his office. He slept there and worked there. Those were the only things he was doing. He went all in. He had no other options. He was broke and had almost nothing to his name, but as we all know, it clearly paid off. If you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. Greg McCone. If you don't focus on your dreams and what you want to do, then someone else, your parents, your boss, or your teacher, will tell you what to do, and they will make you prioritize something else. You have to focus on the most important thing, and essentialism is basically less is better. You have to focus on what is most important. You have to sacrifice a lot, and you have to make hard choices even when it's hard and you won't want to make them. That is why having a strong vision is really important. Otherwise, you will just give up. The struggle will be too hard to endure for a goal you don't even care that much about. How can you know what you should work on if you don't have a goal you want to achieve? Choosing what you want to achieve, your dream or vision, is choosing what pain you want to endure. There will always exist pain. You just have to choose which pain you want. And if you don't, well, then someone else will choose your pain and you will still experience pain that you haven't chosen yourself. And I would say that is far worse than choosing your own pain. If everything is a priority, then nothing's a priority. Frank Sonnenberg. To achieve your vision, it doesn't only take one task, because that would be a too easy vision to achieve. You have to split your vision into different goals and tasks. Break your vision down into 10-year goals, 5-year goals, 1-year goals, and monthly goals, and weekly goals, and priority tasks that you do daily. When you have broken your vision into daily priority tasks, you know what you need to do every day to move forward and stay on track. Focus on the priority tasks. They are the most important ones. You need to be willing to adapt, to learn from your mistakes, to never give up, and truly believe in yourself. You need to visualize what you want in extreme detail. Whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. This statement is true, but only if you put in the work. By visualizing and believing, you won't get anywhere. But by doing that and putting in the work, then it is possible. You should believe that you have to succeed. There is no other option. You have to succeed. It's simply that straightforward. There is no other option. You just have to succeed. I'm either going to win or I'm going to die trying. You're distracted because you don't have responsibilities, priorities, or goals so important that you have no choice but to focus on them. You're afraid to commit, so you drown in options. Dan Coe. As I told you about earlier, when you have shiny object syndrome, you become paralyzed. You don't take action. You drown in options, as Dan Coe said. That is why you need to take the leap into the unknown and unfamiliar. You need to go with that business model you have chosen to go with and don't change it. There will always exist fear. Fear of failure, fear of commitment. You will have doubting beliefs. You will want to quit, but keep on going. The fear arises when you're exiting your comfort zone. If there's no fear when you're embarking on a new path, are you sure that the path is new for you and that it's the right one for you? Don't focus on the past or the future, but focus on the task at hand and go all in. Tackle the problems when they arrive, and if you're relentless enough, you will succeed. Take control over your fears. Use them as fuel. Let them give you a sense of direction. Fear is an emotion, which means it's also energy. Use that energy, transmute it into something greater. The fear forces you to focus, because if there would be no fear, then you wouldn't need to focus, because what would be the point? Conquer your fear and it will turn into your greatest ally. Go all in. That's it. Take action. Don't get stuck in action paralysis, and focus on a priority task and monotask to improve your focus. Thank you for listening to this video and hope you learned something. Until next video, or if you want to check out my newsletter where I post newsletters and blogs where I dive into topics like this, and you will see future videos from there. Thank you for listening and bye.